Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the fifth ARNECC Paper Talks. Here we will discuss an academic article that recently published in Journal of Renewable Energy and Sustainable Energy Review. The paper is about the cross-country comparison of compensation mechanisms for distributed photovoltaics in the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. I will be the host of this talk. My name is Monica Merdekawati. I am a research analyst of ASEAN Climate Change and Energy Project, or ACCEP, and also an officer of Sustainable Energy, Renewable Energy, and Energy Efficiency Department of ACE. The outline of this talk will be a presentation by the author of this paper, Dr. Sirifa Junlangkarn, for about 20 minutes, and then followed with the commentary by Dr. Trin Huang, for around 10 minutes, and then later we will have a 20 minutes Q&A session. So in this Q&A session, I am encouraging the participants here to share your questions through the Q&A feature. Please do not hesitate to be involved in the discussion because I believe there is no stupid question. Without further ado, I would like to invite our speaker, Dr. Sirifa. She is the main author of the article that we will be discussing. She is currently the researcher at Energy Research Institute of Chulalongkorn, University of Thailand. She obtained her PhD degree in engineering and public policy from Carnegie Mellon University in 2015. Her research interests are distributed generation applications and impact and new business models in the power sector. Currently, she has been working the energy transition project called Clean, Affordable, and Secure Energy for Southeast Asia, or also known as CASE, which funded by GIZ. Okay, please, Dr. Sirifa, the floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, all participants. So I will be a representative. Let me check. Okay. I will be a representative from another 3 authors to talk about this paper, the across-country comparisons of compensations mechanism for DPV in Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. So I would like to thank USA Clean Power Asia for giving us the opportunity to collect data and conduct the research for these 3 countries. And if you are interested to read the full paper, you can download it from the Science Direct website or email me to ask for the full paper. So let's start. So what is this paper about? In this paper, we have reviewed the support mechanism for distributed PV, and in 3 countries, and the mechanism have been changed to multi-faceted impacts, especially for the revenue and rate impacts from utilities. And in this paper, we also investigate and compare the customer economics of residential and commercial under the 3 support scheme, including the self-consumption, net metering, and net billing. So I will talk about them later. And at that time, we work at the time that we work on this paper, we found that the current design of compensation in 3 countries induce customers to install the underside PV system. So today I will select some topics from the paper to present. So basically, I will give you an overview about the compensation mechanism for DPV in 3 countries, and the policy and status of DPV in these 3 countries. And also, I will present the result of economics feasibility in 3 countries for the residential and commercial customers. And the last part will be the remaining barriers and policy recommendations. So first of all, there are many mechanisms to support DPV in around the world, but for end user scale, as we have done for this paper, for the user scale, in the early stage of the PV adoption, there are many countries, including Thailand, use buy or sell all mechanism to support the DPV. And so basically, for this scheme, our PV electricity produced from the system will sell to the utility, like buy all for PV electricity produced, and at the rate, and the customer will get the rate at, with a typical higher than the retail rate. And then, and when the the solar market has been developed, many countries change from the buy all, sell all to the self-consumption scheme, as you see in this, including the net metering and net billing. I will talk about them later. And basically, there are 2 parts for self-consumption scheme. There are 2 parts of PV electricity. The first part is the self-consumed part. Typically, it's valued at the tariff rate at to which the customer subscribe, and maybe some scheme has a bonus on top from this scheme for the self-consumption part. And the second part is the excess PV electricity. This one, when we use and have some energy left, this will flow to the grid. And for net, and for this part, the customer will get compensations for this, the excess energy, or maybe not, no compensation. So let's go to the detail. For the first one, for the buy off, sell off, or we this one, as I discussed in previously, all generated PV electricity is export to the grid, be not consumed at the on-site. So the value of the export PV will equal to the feed-in tariff rate, or the rate that's set by the government. And the values of the electricity import is we have to buy the electricity from the grid, so just pay for the retail tariff. And the rate, the sale rate, will be fixed or variable. It depends on the design of the mechanism. And the next one is net metering. This scheme will allow PV producer to bank the excess generation, But first of all, the PV electricity will be consumed first on site, and the rest will go to the grid. And the meter, so the meter will measure the net of the import and export of electricity in kilowatt hour. And when the end of the billing period, the electricity bill will be calculated from the net energy read by the meter. Or some scheme for the net metering, the credits can be banked until the end of the year, and this depends on the scheme design. The next one is the net billing. So the consumptions and excess energy are recorded separately. Depends on the types of the meter. So if it's a digital meter, there will be the 2 channels that record the import and export energy. And then the values of the self-consumed PV will equal to the retail rate. So that's the benefit of the self-consumption. And for the values of the excess PV energy, this one depends on the rate that's set by the government or the market. And there's a different scheme, different design on this net billing. And the next one is about the state policy and status DPV in 3 countries. I put the timeline for the scheme that occur in 3 countries. The first one for Philippines, they introduced the net billing in 2013, and locally they call the net metering program. But when we look into the details, how they work is fit to the definitions of net billing, our net billing definition. And the scheme has been revised in 2019, and right now they still in 2020 they add revise the scheme to the net metering with the options. And for Thailand, in the early state, we had a feed-in tariff or buy or sell all in 2013. And then after that, we, as the cost of PV system decrease, the government aim to change the scheme to the self-consumption. And in 2017, we have a pilot program for self-consumptions. Basically, this scheme, the excess energy will get no compensation. So the excess energy just flow to the grid without any payment. And then we changed to net billing in 2019 for residential customers. In this for net billing in Thailand right now, we still the program is still going on, but for the first year, the rate that customers get for the excess energy is quite low, and below the wholesale rate, electricity rate. So the program is not didn't success much. And for the Vietnam, they have in 2017 they introduced the net metering and changed to net billing in 2019. And then as we did this research, they have revised the scheme to be buy or sell all, that make Vietnam has the install capacity of solar increased significantly in recent year. And here is the target for each country. For Philippines, they set the target for solar by 2030 to 1,500, around 1,500. And for Thailand, we have 10,000 megawatt for only DPV by 2037. But recently we just revised this number because we are not success for the net building scheme, and the rest of the amount is located to other program, to the community power plant, community-based power plant project. And for Vietnam, they set the target for 100 megawatt by 2025, and here is this law is the grid connected DPV that we get the information. And here's the summary of the compensation scheme in 3 countries. Basically, all 3 countries as June 2020, they all have a net billing scheme for all of them. And the compensation for excess energy for Philippines, they use the blended generation rate or the wholesale rate. And for Thailand, we got the compensation rate below the wholesale price. And for the Vietnam, they have a feed-in tariff rate, which is approximately the same as the wholesale electricity price. So as you see, for Philippines and Vietnam, they use the wholesale electricity price for the excess, for compensation of the excess generation from PV. And the scheme, there are the different scheme for the rolling credit. For Philippines, they can collect the credit and roll over the monthly for the next month. But for Vietnam and Thailand, there are no rolling credits. And yes, for Philippines, they have a banking period that the credits can bank it for 1 year. So yes, and for 3 countries, they have a capacity cap per system. For Philippines, they cap at 100 kilowatt. For Thailand, it's quite small side, so they cap to 10 kilowatt. And for Vietnam, they allow for the big side 1 megawatt. So next is about the we did the analysis for customer economic feasibility for PV for the PV system of the residential and commercial customers. And here is the assumption that we have put in that analysis. Basically, we investigate for 3 schemes. The first one is self-consumption, and second one is net metering and net billing, to compare what scheme will impact for the customer feasibility. And we use the data that, for example, the data in that country, for example, the retail rate used for each country, and the system costs for the residential and commercial scale are different. And you can see that for Thailand, we have a high system cost compared to another 2 countries. And for the economics assumption, we put the inflation rate for different based on each country, also the load growth. And the rate, electricity rate for residential and commercial are different for 3 countries. Basically, for Philippines, they have inclining block rate, and all 3 countries has a inclining block rate. But for Thailand, we also have a TOU rate for residential customer as well. But for commercial customer, 3 countries has a TOU rate except the Philippines and Thailand has a flat rate and TOU rate, except Vietnam that has only TOU rate. So the result for the residential customer, we have in the full paper, we calculate the LCOE, NPV, IRR, and payback period. But here I just show only the LCOE and IRR for 3 countries. And we also vary the PV to load ratio for different to conduct the sensitivity analysis. But for the best case here, you can see that as Thailand has the high system cost, the IRR is quite low compared to another 2 countries. And for LCOE, you can see that Vietnam has the lowest LCOE among 3 countries. So one factor that make Vietnam has a low LCOE, because if it's about the economics scale of economic of scale, because if you install a big site, a large site, the cost for per kilowatt will be lower than the smaller size. And here's a result for the commercial customers. Here we did only for self consumption. For residential, we compare 3 different schemes: self consumption, net metering, and billing. So basically, net metering will give the best result compared to compare to 2 schemes. Another 2 scheme. But for commercial, we did only self-consumption, because we as we did the interview for industry, for commercial scale, most of I would say that they even they get no compensation for excess energy. The economics of the system, the feasibility of the system is still good. For example, for Thailand, IRR is around 8%, and for Philippines is about 14%, and Vietnam is 18% IRR, and the LCOE for the commercial customer will be lower than the residential customer, and Vietnam is still has the lowest LCOE. And here's the last part about the remaining barrier and policy recommendation. As we investigate for 3 countries, they still face about the barrier about the policy uncertainties and unclear regulation so to support the adoption of DPV, the country has to make the policy more clear, and the regulation as well. And another barrier is about the retail rate impacts and cost subsidy concern, as I think this is the main concern for all countries around the world, that for DPV adopter, if they install the system, it's like they use the cheaper energy produced by the DPV system. But as the tariff structure is not has a separate component for this, for account for the energy cost and the system cost. So this will affect the non-DPV adopter, that they have to pay for the for the cost subsidy. This barrier happened in Thailand, in both Thailand and Philippines. The next barrier is the soft cost, is the the permitting remains a large challenge for an obstacle to legitimize DPV in the mainstream with both rate-paying customer and utility operator. So, and the next one is about the interconnection rules and standard. Due to the concerns of the technical problem, as we have talked with the utility, they're quite concerned about the technical, how this will affect the like a voltage or the power quality in the system. So the grid code or the standard might seem like to be make the DPV make customer install the underside PV system. And the last one, the policy recommendation. So the values of the solar remain the remain the topic and change a lot based on the existing market condition. And we will need a new approach to qualify the value of solar in emerging economy, because solar can produce energy only at the daytime, and as we see, if we have more solar in the system, it will cause like a duck curve can cause the duck curve in the future, like the load during the day go down very low, and we have high demand at night. So this need the new approach to qualify the values of solar in the future. And the next policy recommendation is about the dynamic export rate design. This will be useful policy tool, as our region has a demand for electricity rising very quick, and it could feed initial investment and early adopter into the market. And this can cause a positive feedback for the market. But as the cost of the solar system continuously decrease, this rate, if we fix for one rate over 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, depends on the life cycle of the system. This can cause impact for the long run if we have only fixed rate. So dynamic export rate can be option. And the last one, as if we have more solar PV in the system, utility to manage this surge, utility can cap the credit for export electricity at different capacity. So that pretty much about the paper. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Sirifa, for your excellent presentation. So now let me introduce our expert here, Dr. Trinh Hoang, that will share his view on this research. Dr. Trinh is currently a senior associate at the first energy think tank in Vietnam, known as Vietnam Initiative for Energy Transition, or VIET. He's also the co-founder of VIET. Prior to this, he used to be a research fellow at the Asia-Euro Policy Dialogue Fellowship and the ASEAN US Science and Technology Fellowship. He obtained his PhD degree in Energy Economics and Sustainable Development in 2015. His research focus is energy and environmental economics, energy modeling and policy, and assessment of renewable and low carbon energy technologies. Okay, now let's welcome Dr. Trinh. Please, the mic is yours.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. And thank you very much, Monica, for your introduction. And also thank you very much for Sirifa for your presentation and your paper. So I have time to very like a nice time to read your paper, and indeed it's really interesting paper about like a quantitative analysis on solar policies in ASEAN countries. Actually, the first time I read a paper like this for ASEAN. Maybe like there are more some other papers, but I do not have a chance to do so. But so okay, thank you again for this one, and I want to have some like not really comments, but I mean like my I want to share my thought about this one, and my also like I want to by the way like express my interest to have like more collaborations with you and also like other audience here for further study in this topic, because it's really hot topic in ASEAN countries. So firstly, it's really a good review on solar and particularly distributed solar PV policies in 3 countries. And I think you presented some very key policies on this sector, and the way you choose locations in each country to have like a quantitative analysis to calculate the economic benefit for each type of policy options is really like reasonable and understandable, so people can like easily how know okay how the policy works in each country. It's really important because whenever we talk about the policy, we often think about like a very qualitative approach, but here yeah you put own elements together with economic and technical input to bring very clear message okay how uh, ho- how good or not really like a good or bad, but I mean how efficient the policy in each country for DSP is. And we can see very clearly by your most important indicator is IRR. So we understand that okay, if like from policy point of view, we understand okay how we can learn from each other, how we can learn from like because for example right now in the Vietnamese solar sector for distributed solar, we are using more or less like combine feed-in tariff and billing method. So net billing, sorry, net billing. So yeah, how like should we consider other policy options to improve the efficiency of this sector, like how to have to promote more project in this sector. So you show very like clearly evidence about the policies not only in one country, but we can compare to other like really much similar countries. And also like from my like from the part researchers point of view, we know okay how like this approach can apply to other policies options as well, not only for distributed solar, but also like for industrial solar scale or other type of renewable energy, biomass or wind or other type of renewable energy. So it's really helpful to have more quantitative analysis like this. So we have like a more evidence-based policy recommendations. And also like from the investor point of view, we know okay so what we have to prepare to invest in each in each country for like a distributed sector. And I think another like audience for this paper could be the households. The households in each country, they have a very limited information. So yeah, if we can have more analysis report or what kind of communication like this, so people can have more more information to decide, okay, should we invest our own solar for our home or not. So it's really important. So and also like the audience of this paper is very wide, so I expect us can have like more communication channels to 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 convey or to send the output of this paper to more people, not only like a research community. And I think for another part I really like in this paper is like you, how to say, you make comparison, and then you give recommendations for own countries. And I think it's not only for this is three countries, but also for other developing countries, because okay, we have like more or less the similar conditions about the technical, about the economic point of view, and also like the policy development. And very important that we have the same, like we are on the same boat for the climate change commitment. Very really important, because like policy options for solar or for wind power depend very much on like our climate commitment. So if we have like a more or less the same commitment, so we should learn from each other about how to deliver the very efficient policies for renewable energy or for like any low carbon technologies. Yeah. And as I said at the beginning, I really much to I like to have further discussion and also suggestions for further works. And I really like to have collaborations with you and your team, or like other colleagues here. We have also the same interest in this topic. So the first one, yeah, like because now the policy and also like the development in this sector goes very fast. So you can see like, okay, some data and some fact in this paper already like a little bit out of date. For example, in the case of Vietnam, like the sector, like the country I'm working very closely now in my research, because at the end of 2020, we have already like nearly 10 gigawatt of solar, like distributed solar power. And we already like increased the target for solar. So yeah, but I mean, I understand that for one research paper, it takes really long time to review, to peer review, and to be published. So yeah, it's understandable. But whenever we have like a different form of communication, we can change a little bit. I mean, the calculation, the research methodology, we can like keep the same as in the paper, but we can change the fact. We can update the data whenever we have another form of communication to the public, to the policy makers. So it will be like more convincing, because still like your calculation very variable, it's worth to read. But whenever we put more like update data, so it more will be more convincing to others. And also for the it's really important to understand the motivation of the people or of the stakeholders when they want to invest in solar in general or in distributed solar. Because you can see in these three countries already we have the not the same motivation. Some, even in one country, we have different motivation in each like a province. In some areas we need solar because we do not have other choice, we do not have other options. But in some locations we install solar because we do not want to pay more like expensive electricity from other sources, like even like from the grid or from the diesel, for example. So is we have, if we can define the motivation of the stakeholders, so we can bring more like more insight, and also like bring more recommendations for them. And yeah, so it's like that. So it's more, will be more interesting if we can consider this part. And also like maybe like later on, maybe you or other researchers, we want to develop further calculation and research based on this one, so we can consider to select the location of the project, like the case study, how to say, because right now you choose the capital city for each country, but we can also like consider the like locations with the very much similar condition, solar radiation, for example. So we can, at least we can have the same technical assumption, and then only about the economic aspects, so will be more like more comparable results we can get. And also like for policy recommendations, it it will be like okay, so if I am from Vietnam, for example, so I really much to like interested in like some policies specifically for the country. Not only okay, we can give some recommendations for each country, for all countries. It also like really necessary, but we can have like some sections specifically for each country, even it's very short, but people like as a particular readers can know, okay, we are involved, so we can learn specifically from this part. Yeah, so make like make increase the involvement from specific stakeholders. Yeah, so that's my very like literal comments and suggestions for further research. We can may work together. So okay, so anyway, thank you very much, and yeah, and thank you very much again for Monica and Ais to yeah, for inviting me to join this really interesting session. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Trent. Actually, I'm kind of happy that this initiative can connect the researcher that work on the same field to really explore what could be the next gap to be to be analyzed. So yeah, I agree with you. So as also would like to work with both of you on the next issue, on this issue actually. And I also agree that I think the suggestion of make the paper more into country specific, because also ASEAN is like has similar culture and kind of similar, because they are almost are the developing countries. But I believe each has their own challenge and barriers. So yeah, it's nice to learn from each other. Before continuing to other discussion, Dr. Sirfa, do you want to respond to Dr. Trin?
Just give a few words. So I agree with Dr. Trin that like if we have did the economic benefit feasibility for Thailand by exploring in the detail for each region in Thailand. For example, for the north, we, as you know, that if we have a different latitude, we have a different radiation for solar. So they will get like the customer in each region will get different benefits from install the solar. So that absolutely true. But when we did the research about the solar, the we have faced the problem about like the data that usually we like is, I think that's the like main pain point to do the research that we have. If we have the data, like for example, for the load profile for customer, as we did for residential and commercial customer, if this will affect the benefit of customer, absolutely, definitely, as we have a self-consumption scheme that it depends on the energy that used on site first. So if you have the load pattern as a use has a high demand, use more during the day, so the solar will be give you more benefit. So yeah, so that the one like just to point out that what we have faced with when we did the research. Yeah, the problem, the issue.
Thank you, Dr. Sirifa. So I think in the Q&A chat box, you already responded to the question. So actually, I have personal question here about the paper. First is you noted that in the end of your paper that there are things that could be improved for these three countries. But I wonder what is your opinion about the learning curve that ASEAN can achieve to have a sustained environment for the DPV development? Like, what is your opinion that ASEAN, how long ASEAN can achieve that sustained environment for DPV development?
I think right now, as the scheme, even not only ASEAN but around the world, we will move toward the self-consumption scheme. That we don't need to like produce the energy to feed to the like sell to the grid. But right now the cost, the system cost is lower and lower, so we can produce energy by ourselves. I think that the good side that like we all more people will access to the electricity, and but as it's like a transition, because in the past we depends on the grid, we sell electricity from the grid, and there's a cost like we put in the grid. But right now, if people can produce by themselves, so that is like they get off from the grid. So they should have a balance between the solar adoption and non-solar adoption, because otherwise the non-solar adoption will have to bear to carry the cost of the grid, because they have to still depends on the grid. So I think if we have to create the environment for solar, we might need to look into the detail of the tariff structure, that as not just solar, if we have more EV in the system, like all the things that going on in the network in behind meter right now can cause the structure, the whole structure. So yeah, we need to prepare for such kind of a structure that like support to facilitate the more application or more solar EV or EV in behind the meter. I think that, yeah.
I agree with you, but I think that also bring up another main challenge in ASEAN, where most of the countries like to have centralized electricity market. I think that's also kind of a main challenge here in ASEAN. But yeah, I agree that we should move towards that. And although the time is limited, I have another burning question, but it's for Dr. Tran actually. It's not directly related to the paper, but I think it's kind of related somehow. So my question is, I heard in the news that Vietnam is planning to open the electricity market to to open the electricity market. So and also the motivation behind that is because of the solar boom that Vietnam had before, uh, causing quite a burden to the grid. So my question is, because you're also researching about Vietnam, what is the government plan towards first the opening the electricity market and also solving the grid burden from the solar boom?
So yeah, okay. Thank you very much for your question. So I think we are opening. So we are opening the electricity sector, and we opened in some sections already, like generation sector is like many private investors are now in the sector. And okay, so we have the first like the very key policy for opening the electricity sector. It was like from nearly 20 years ago, not like last year or a few years ago, because of solar. At that time, even like we did not have any solar in the system. So but your part is still very true, because at that time we have very high growth rate for electricity consumption. So that's why the state-owned companies cannot have enough capital source for expanding the sector. So that's why we have the electricity market, competitive electricity market roadmap since 2006. And yeah, and then still like now we are opening the transmission sector. And how to say, basically a transmission sector still like belong to the state owned companies, but now we are opening for some private companies who can invest in transmission lines, because as you already said, many renewable energy projects in the remote areas, and we have to know grid infrastructure there. That's why we want to have more investment from other sectors rather than like a state investment. So yeah, and we plan to open the retail market in next 2 or 3 years.
I see. So it's in the next 3 years. So yeah. So it's a lot to do, but I think Vietnam is quite prepared with the roadmap and plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we are now discussing about the direct PPA for solar, for example. So it's a very first step to open the retail market.
I see. So yeah, it's interesting news, and also yeah, we look forward with the development, and yeah, and maybe after this we will reach you out to discuss more about this issue.
Yeah, you're welcome. So thanks.
Yeah. So I think the time is already reaching the end. Because of that, I would like to, before wrapping up the today's session, first I would like to appreciate your active participation, especially for the speakers, and allow me to briefly share a few updates for about the ACE and also ARNECC upcoming activities for a few minutes here. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, as you may have known, ARNECC is a group of scholars, analysts, researchers, students, and other stakeholders organized under the themes of energy and climate studies. The main objective is to facilitate this kind of interdisciplinary forum or discussion on social, economic, governance, and technical issues related to energy and climate change. It is open to researchers from any discipline or level of experience and not limited to any particular technologies or sectors. For the Southeast Asia, not nationally, yeah, for Southeast Asia focus. To register, please check the link here, provided here. And if you have further questions, please let us know by emailing to benisuryadi@aseanenergy.org. So the next is, last week we just launched ARNECC research database, which aim to be a platform for the ARNECC member or any researcher that want to share their publication on energy and climate topic, or a climate topic to be disseminated more effectively to the Southeast Asian readers. So please note that this database also honor the copyright terms. So as you may later check in the ARNECC website, that this database only provide the TOI link. So it's not like providing you the PDF of it. So it's still illegal. So and now we have reached 100 plus paper curated in the database. And we hope this number is growing. So we are inviting the researchers who want to showcase their paper to simply submit details of your publication at the link here. And next is about ARNECC Paper Talks. Now we have reached the 5th episode. Next month, we will having another ARNECC Paper Talk, which scheduled to be in the last week of August. Here, I'm also inviting all researchers who want their paper to be showcased to please send the detail of your paper, short bio, and photo to accept.com@aseanenergy.org. And then next is the last is but not least, ACE is also inviting all researchers to submit abstracts of your research to the first ASEAN International Conference on Energy and Environment. This event is co-hosted with Brunei Darussalam, the chair of this year ASEAN meeting, in conjunction with the ASEAN Energy Business Forum 2021. We are hoping that this initiative could be a platform for triple helix collaboration through research activities. The main topic is ASEAN energy transition with resiliency in post-pandemic climate change era. The abstract submission deadline is 8 August 2021. For more detail, please check the event page in the ACE website or email info@aseanenergy.org. I think that would be all from my side. So again, now we have reached the end of our talk here, finally. Again, I would like to appreciate our two distinguished experts here, Dr. Siripa and also Dr. Trin, for your insights, as well as your valuable time and efforts in preparing the event. And thank you for the active participation from our audience here. Please to stay safe and healthy. And see you again in the next month ARNECC Paper Talks. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.